All right, let's get this party started with question number 7. Now this question is a combo question because it takes skills from 2 different units. This is both a level 7, why did I say 7? This is a level 6 trig question because you see we have tan over here. We're going to have to use this information. And it's also a level 3 question where it's similarity. And that's because they tell us these are 2 similar triangles. Right? So we need to use both these skills to answer this question. And so, watch this. So the first thing it tells us that the tan of theta is 3 over 7. So what this is actually telling us is that the opposite over the adjacent is 3 over 7. That's actually pretty good information. Remember, tan is O over A. So what we have to do is first start by labeling our sides of this triangle. This is O. Our hypotenuse is here, so we're not going to label that because we're looking for A, and this is A. So we know that this side is 3, because that's our O side, and our A is 7. Now they tell us that these 2 triangles are similar, right? So let's just redraw these, because, why not? All right, so we have it looking like this, and we got our other triangle that's looking like this. All right, so from our first triangle, we know that this side over here, between the right angle and the marked angle, is 3. And we know that our other side, this long side between theta and the right angle, is going to be 7. Now we can do the same on the other one, where we know between the right angle and the marked angle is 2.4. And we know that this long side over here is x. Well, guess what? Now we can solve this. Ooh, let's do it. So we can do 7 is to x as 3 is to 2.4. We get 3x is equal to 7 times 2.4. I can do that in my head. No, I can't. 16.8. Divide both sides by 3. And let's get our final answer. Big bow. That is a great way to do that question. Nice and easy. Now there are other ways to do it, and I'm interested in hearing if you guys figured out that way. Let me know. I'm interested. All right, the next question on our agenda is number 7. And guess what? This is another trig question. So this is from level 6, trigonometry. All right, now this tells us to find the perimeter of this rectangle. And to find the perimeter, you need to know all 4 sides and add them together. And some people forget that, so let's write the definition. Perimeter is when you add all the sides together. Add all sides together. Now to do that, all I have to do is find 2 sides here. All right, if I know this side, well then I know it's the same on the other side, right? This would also be x. And if I know this side, then I know it's the same on the other side. Rectangles, opposite sides are congruent. It's a parallelogram. So all I got to do is find x and y here and then fill in my sides. So let's take a look here. We actually have a triangle right here that looks like this. All right? And we have an angle, we have a side, and we have a missing side. So what we could do here is actually use trigonometry. So I'm just going to redraw this over here, and we'll just set up our trig to solve this. So we have 30 over here. We have x is one thing that we're looking for, and we have 12. So let's solve for x first. Okay? So this is our opposite, and this is our hypotenuse. O and h means that we're going to use sine of 30 is equal to x over 12, opposite over hypotenuse. Drop a 1 down. Let's cross multiply this guy. We get x, 1 times x, is equal to 12 times the sine of 30. And that means our x is going to be equal to 6. So we've made some progress here. Let's put a 6 over here. And let's put a 6 over here. Good. Well, now we just have to solve for y. So let's redraw this triangle. We'll just do the same thing we just did. So follow me down over here. Let's do the same exact thing. So this time it's still 30. This is still 12, but this time I'm going to solve for y. So if you go across, there's nothing, so I don't label it. This is still the hypotenuse, and this over here, y, is our adjacent. All right? So let's get this going. So this would be cosine because we have a and h. So it's the cosine of 30 is equal to, let's say, y over 12. Okay, cross multiply, we get y equals 12 times the cosine of 30. And let's put that in the calculator, and we get, let's extend that page a little, y equals 12 times cosine 30, 10.4-ish. Okay, we'll just fill y in for 10.4 now. Okay, so that's 10.4, and that's also 10.4. Now, all we have to do is add the sides together, so we're just going to add 6 plus 10.4 plus 10.4. That will give us our perimeter. If you do that correctly, you will get something that looks like 32.8. Check. Nice job. All right, moving along. Next question is number 13. Let's find that guy. Oh, nope, that's a lie. It's number 11. All right, so what this is telling us is that we have this nice rectangular prism, and you're cutting out this center, this cylinder center here. All right, and you got to figure out the remaining volume. So this is level 10, where we did 3D shapes. And this is a subtraction problem. Remember, when you are taking out, when you're taking out one 3D shape from another, it becomes a subtraction problem. So we just have to find two volumes and subtract them. Volume number 1, well, that's a rectangular prism, so it's just going to be base times height. Volume number 2 is a cylinder, so that's pi r squared times height. Now, this is pretty easy. We're just going to subtract the two. But it's figuring out how to do, like, what the height is, what the base is, and all that, which gets a little hard. Now, this is what I'm going to say. What this is kind of like if you took this a rectangular prism and you put it on its side, like it was standing up real nice and tall, and then it fell over. You got to think of it like that, okay? So it's actually sitting on its side. So the base here is actually this square that's 4 by 4. All right, so the volume here is going to be the base, which is just a square with a 4 by 4 sides, so it's 4 times 4. That will give me the base. And the height is actually 6, because it's on its side here. Now you might have done this differently, and since it's multiplication, everything's commutative, and what you would get is 16 times 6, which is 96, all right, inches cubed. Now the volume over here for our cylinder is where it gets a little hairy. Now look here. It tells us that we have a cylinder. Actually, let's erase all this stuff. It's all messy. Messy. All right. What we have here is we have a cylinder with a radius of 1. But what's the height of the cylinder? Is it 4? No, it's lying on its side, so the height here is 6. And if you didn't realize that the height was 6, that the height actually goes this way, right? Because this is the base, this is the height, then you would get this question wrong. So the volume here is actually equal to pi times 1 squared times 6. That's key. So the volume here is, let's put that into our trusty calculator. Pi times 1 squared times 6. You should have gotten 18.85-ish. Okay? Now you just have to subtract those. It's 96 minus 18.5. All right? And we get about 77. Check! All right, it's all about perspective. It's all about perspective. Next question. We did 13. Now we got to do 13. Ooh, this is fun. Now, this is a dilation. So this is from level 1. Dilations. All right? And what it's asking us to do is just find our coordinates. Okay? Now, you just have to remember how to dilate something on the coordinate plane. There's a scale factor of 2. I'll show you exactly how to do it. You count the distance from the center of dilation to the point. So to get from A to B, the center of dilation to the point, you go 1 to the right and 1 down. Now, when you dilate, you just multiply those distances by the scale factor. So this time, it's scale factor 2. I'm going to go twice as far. So follow me in red. So instead of going 1 to the right, I'm going to go 2 to the right. So I go 1, 2. And now I'm going to go 2 down. 1, 2. And notice how I started the center dilation. So this is B prime. And let's write down the point just to make it easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 2. Okay? Since we know 5, 2 is a point, let's eliminate 3 and 2, because those guys are out. Our B is wrong. So now it's just between 1 and 4. So now we're going to do the same thing again for point C. So we count 1 to the left, all right, and then I go 3 down, okay? 1 to the left and 3 down. So now I'm just going to double that. So I start at the center of dilation, I go 2 to the left and 3 down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, 6 down. And what we have here is our image. Nice. So this is C prime, and this is at 1, negative 2. That gives us answer number 1. And notice two things. Our lines are parallel, and CB prime, C prime, B prime is about twice the size of CB now. All right, that's a scale factor of 2. All right, parallel lines and twice as big. All right, moving on to our next question. We're going to be doing question number 18. Oh, this is fun. This is just a level 9 question. Straight up, we did this today. Let's just solve it, okay? We'll do it together. This is level 9 circles. We just got to solve this guy. So we get x squared plus y squared minus 6y. Subtract the y to the 1 to the other side equals negative 1. All right, the numbers have to go over. I subtracted 1 to the other side. All right, let's put in our blanks. X squared plus y squared minus 6y plus blank is equal to negative 1 plus blank. All right, we got to figure out how to complete the square. So we just take this negative 6 divided by 2 and then square it. So we get negative 3 squared is 9. Positive 9 on both sides. Factor it down. We're going to factor this guy down. So we get x squared plus, well, when you factor this, you just take half of this negative 6. You get y minus 3 squared equals 8. And now we can figure out our center and radius. Center, radius. Our center is at, well, x has nothing, so that's a 0. Our y has something. We just change the sign. We get 3. So 0, 3, we can knock out 3 and 4. Okay? Oh, wow. We actually can knock out 1, 2. All right? So the answer is just 2. Easy. You don't have to find the radius. Now, the radius is the square root of 8. If you put that in the calculator, if you know how to reduce this, this is actually square root 2 times square root 4. So you do get 2 square root 2. All right? Or you can put that in the calculator and get the decimal. Okay, number 19. This is a fun question. This is a fun question. I love this question. So this is actually from level 5 parallelograms. All right, parallelograms. And this says, which statement would prove that ABCD is a rhombus? So let's write down the rhombus properties here again, okay? We know diagonals are perpendicular. Diagonals bisect angles. And we know all sides congruent. That's all we know. All right? Now, let's draw this out. All right? So we're going to draw this out. And we get our rhombus of A, B, C, D. Now remember, it always goes back to finding one of these properties here that would prove it's a rhombus. This isn't a trick question. You have to either prove that diagonals are perpendicular, diagonals bisect the angles, or all sides are congruent. One of those three has to be true. All right, so let's just go through these. Now the first one says that AC has a midpoint of 1, 4. All right? Now, even if the midpoint is 1, 4, what the hell does that prove here? Nothing. It absolutely proves nothing. All right? There's nothing to be gleaned from this. I don't know why you'd put this answer. Maybe you like midpoints. That's out. Now, the next one tells us that BD has the square root of 40. All right? Now, that's interesting. It's telling us that BD has the square root of 40 because maybe you did the math here and you found out that AC, with the points given, also has a distance of the square root of 40, that length. All right? Now, that would prove that the diagonals are congruent, but that's a rectangle property, right? This is diagonals are congruent. That does not prove it's a rhombus. It proves it's a rectangle. Always trying to get us with that. Nice try, bruh. The next one tells us that the slope of BD is 1/3. Now, that is interesting. Okay, they're giving us the slope of BD. Now, if I found out that AC had a perpendicular slope, well, then we might be getting somewhere. So let's find the slope of AC. So to find the slope of AC, we're just going to use the slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Let me get this out of here. Now let's just plug that in. All right. So we get 1 minus 7 over 2 minus 0. Do that math, you get negative 6 over 2, and your answer is negative 3. So let's get this straight. We have two slopes now. We have M1, which is the slope of AC, which is negative 3. And we have M2, which is our slope of BD, which is the other diagonal, which is 1/3. Now you might know this. These two are actually perpendicular to each other. What we have just solved is that diagonals are perpendicular. Thank you, number 3. Now number 4, That's useless. It's telling us that the slope of AB is 1/3. I don't care about the sides being perpendicular. I do not care. I wanted diagonals are perpendicular. So when you have a question like this, always go back to your properties. All right. Number 20. Now listen, at this point, if you are not getting this question right, I got to say this. You got to watch. Go back and you got to watch. Level 8. This is applications, apps of Geo. I'm not going to do this whole problem with you, but you have to know this. You have to watch 8.5 again. All right, you need to take out a piece of graph paper. I gave it to you in class. You got to be able to take out a piece of graph paper and split this up. Remember, we're splitting into 5 equal parts. You graph your line. It should be a piece of cake at this point. All right, so if you did this correctly, what you would get is 5-1. All right. You got to get this, guys. You got to know this at this point. It's just, come on. We've done it so many times. 21. Ooh, 21. Let's go through this one. Number 21. So we want to find the area of the shaded region, which is actually this whole region. So the key to doing this is knowing that you're not using 60. We're going to use 300 as our angle, right? Because the whole circle is 360. That's how you'd have to do it. So this is a level 9 question. Circles. And what we're going to do here is just plug into our area formula. Area of a sector is equal to theta over 360 times pi r squared. Remember, that's just the area formula because it says area. What we're going to do is just plug in the information that we know. The area of a sector is equal to 300 over 360 times pi times our radius, which is 8 squared. Now you could put this in the calculator, get a number, and figure out which one of these numbers is exactly the same. You could just put them all in the calculator. You don't have to reduce it. Or we could reduce it. So the area of this sector is going to be 300 over 360 reduces to 5/6 pi times 64. Let's reduce this guy. 6 and 64 actually reduce. Remember, you could cut those in half. So this becomes 32. This becomes 3. So what we get is 5 pi 32 over 3. And hopefully you got this right. You said the area of this sector is 5 times 32, which is 160 pi over 3. Jamam. Done. All right. Final 2 questions we're going to do. We're going to do 22 and we're going to do 24. So this gets out of there. For this question, this is once again level 9, circles. A lot of trig and circles on this test, huh? All right. Now, what you had to do is create the equation of a line to do a question like this. First, you have to create the equation of a circle. After you've got the equation of the circle, all you got to do is figure out, plug these points in, and see which one plugs in. So remember, to get the equation of a circle, you just plug into this. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. All right? Now, you need 2 pieces of information. You need your center, and you need your radius. Center is given. They told us it is centered at the origin, so our center is 0, 0. Now, the problem is they don't give us our radius. All right? They don't. They just tell us a point on the circle. So this is when you got to start doing your distance formula. So it tells you the center, and it tells you a point on here. So remember what I always said. We're going to find the radius and diameter just for the hell of it. Now, if we find the distance from the origin, 0, 0, to this point, negative 512, we would know the length of the radius. And sure enough, if you do this, you plug it into the distance formula. Distance is equal to x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. What you get is 13. All right, so our radius is 13, diameter is 26, but we just need the radius. So we're going to plug it in like this. X minus 0 squared plus y minus 0 squared is equal to 13 squared. All right, this will just be rewritten as x squared plus y squared equals 169. All right, now what we're going to do is actually plug in each point and see which one works. We'll start with the first point. 10 squared plus 3 squared is equal to 169. Hell no, this is 100. This is 9. That is not 169. That is incorrect. This knocks out. Now you do the same thing with the rest of the points, and what you'd find out is if you plug out in this point, it actually does fit into the equation. And now let's move on to our favorite question, number 24. We've actually discussed this in class before. Now, what they're telling you is you have a water cup with a height of 4 and a diameter of 3. You have, and it's filled with water up to here. That's right, we have water. We have red water. Now, it's asking us not for the volume of the water cup, it's asking us for the volume of the water, right? What's the volume of the water cup to half when it's filled with water, right? The water over here. So you might remember, we started this off in class, you have two similar triangles. So the water, what we know, it has a height of 2, but we don't know our diameter. So what you do is you set up similar triangles. 3 is to x, and we know these are similar, remember, because these two lines are parallel, water is parallel to the base, so you get a similar triangle, whatever. Okay, so 3 is to x as 4 is to 2. Cross multiply, you get x is 1.5. All right, now that you got x is equal to 1.5, you know that you can just plug this all into your cone formula. So volume is equal to 1/3 pi r squared times height. Volume is equal to 1/3 pi times the radius. It's not 1.5. Don't put that. It's 0.75, right? Because this is the diameter. Squared times your height, which is 2. If you put that incorrectly, you get the answer of 1. Okay, that's it for this video. I know it was a doozy, but that is your review for this unit. Peace.